All right, what's good, YouTube? We're here with,
Chase Bender.
and what'd you do today?
I got top 4 at a case tournament. Was the only undefeated in Swiss. Won these 3 boxes of Rage of the Abyss here. Some pretty nice pulls.
And what'd you play?
I played Bystial Control. Kind of like Dragon Link, but just keeping it sort of a little bit lower to the ground. Try and cut some of the bricky cards. And worked out. I also really like playing this deck. The playstyle just really fits me.
Yeah, what were your matchups?
So I played Centurion, round 1, Branded, round 2, round 3, Rescue Ace. Definitely playing Azamina stuff. I don't remember if I saw the Fiendsmith stuff in there, but he might have been playing that. And then round 4, I played against Fiendsmith Ubel. So that was it for the Swiss, and I got all those matchups. And then top cut, I played against Runic Stun and put my ass to sleep. Scooped it up. And then for playing it out for 3rd place, I played against the Rescue Ace guy again, and this time he drew a little bit better. I drew a little bit worse. Maybe some mistakes were made, but I lost it as well. So anyways.
Yeah, all right, let's get into it.
All right, so start out 3 Lubellion, obviously, if you're playing Bystials. 3 Sarnier as well. This is the best sort of engine one besides Mag, obviously, which is broken. This just sets up your grave. Got 3 Druisworm as well. Just trying to max out on good cards, good names, you know. Just, this card is way too advanced, as my friend Peter would say. So, just every effect is good. 1 Mag and 1 Baldrake. I know some people like to play more Baldrake or less Druisworm. This is not the most standard ratio, but I think it's pretty good. I've really never had any complaints about it, and I always feel like I see what I want to see, so just never thought to change it. And then I guess to round out the Bystial package, put them up here with Lubellion, 2 Regained and Beast. For a while, this wasn't worth maining, but I feel like, especially with a lot of the new non-engine in the format, games are just actually taking more turns, and this card really puts in work. Replaces Regained. There's some crazy combo lines you go for where you pop your own seal on your turn, or you tribute it to pop something, and then summon and play. So actually works as an extender sometimes. And so I really think it's mandatory. So let's just put that down here. So that's all the Bystial stuff. Let's go to our starters. So we've got 3 black metal and 1 for 1. Really the 4th copy of black metal, and probably the 46th card of the deck. I am playing 46, and if I were to cut any card off the top of my mind, it would be 1 for 1. I just kind of threw it in for today to try it out, and yeah, it was just the worst card in my hand most of the times. The discard is just too expensive sometimes. Next, we also have the search target and the new search target. If you're not aware, black metal is not once per turn, so when you revive it off red MD, you get a 2nd search. This sets this trap card, and will put itself back to the deck. The trap card is going to tribute a level 5 or higher dragon, you know, most of your deck, and summon this from deck. It becomes an Omni Negate, and when it's equipped with this, it has some protection as well. And just a great end board piece. I mean, this already got you your full end board, which is Seal, and, you know, now it gets even more on your end board. It layers the interruptions. You can summon a Bystial off a Seal and then tribute that for the Omni. Maybe summon Druisworm and get more removal. So really flexible package. You could consider siding it instead. I was siding it at first and then just wanted to try it in the main today. But I mean, the only time I really bricked on these cards, it still won me the game because they're that good. So I mean, I don't know what to say. They're probably worth maining, but we'll just have to keep playing and find out. So that's the sort of Red Eyes package. I got 3 more normal summons here with Seyfert, Starliege Seyfert, the baby dragons to go along with them. 1 chaos base. So this is sort of this whole package, but might as well throw this in with the chaos base as well. Chaos Emperor. Usually Dragon Link variants play the Levianeer. And that card is, of course, very good, but this deck, usually you don't fill up your graveyard quite as much. Your graveyard's a little bit more important to keep fresh, so banishing 3 sometimes is just not realistic. And this just really bridges everything into everything a lot of the times. I mean, this as a mag search really is like ideal. To round out the engine, we have 3 more level 8s. Dark End Evaporation Dragon. This, you can banish a dragon level 8 from your extra deck, such as one of these fusions, which we'll talk about, to summon itself from hand. So it's just a free extender. One thing about playing this deck a few formats ago that was really difficult is you have so few starters in these cards, and your extenders rely on Grave Extension. Until this card gets printed, it's just a free extender, and it allows some flexible plays, as we'll get into. Just a great addition to this deck, and really the reason why I can't stop playing it. And the last engine piece, Fallen of Albaz, sort of to pair with this, maybe I should explain this effect a little bit more. You can fusion summon on your turn, or you can pop a face-up monster your opponent controls. And so it's flexible, it allows extra deck options, and we also play Albaz to pair with the fusions because you can summon this off a Hieratic Seal. Just a really powerful end board, you know, unsuspecting, but you get a lot of layered interruption out of it, and they're sort of forced to have multiple cards to deal with the one seal, or it just gets too much value. This can also be a great normal summon in niche scenarios. So that's going to be it for the engine. Pack this up. Let's go 2 power spells. This one is really feels mandatory right now, especially in how the meta feels at this exact moment. Everyone's loving the new Perulia and the new Fuwa Ross as well. And just hand traps seem to be at an all-time high. This really seems like super main deck worthy. And another reason I really like this card is for the fire matchups. My deck pretty much beats any graveyard-based deck as long as it's not one of the fire decks, just inherently sort of. But this on a Princess or on Garunix and Fire King or, you know, Flamberge, I mean, there's so many good targets to hit in that deck that I feel like it's, you know, you can side it out sometimes going second, but I think it's still worth maining. And again, like I said, for hand traps. I just decided to throw 1 Talents in the main, just, I don't know, I felt like the 46 was the number I was trying to hit. And I do also have 1 Thrust in the side, so I feel like they're just sort of versatile cards. You're never really sad to see them unless it really is an unfortunate situation, but, you know, it never hurts to have 1, I guess. Kind of a weird theory, but I just rolled with it. For the hand traps, we have 3 Ash, 3 Ogre, 3 Veiler, and 3 Imperm. So all low impact in theory. But I feel like, well, the first thing I should say is I don't own the Fuwa Ross yet. That card is probably a main deck consideration in this deck, and definitely a side deck, like, mandatory if you have it. But regardless, because of these mulch armies going around, I feel like people are more, you know, turn skips are more common than something like a Nib or something like that. So the solid, low impact, sort of versatile hand traps have been really seeming good for me, at least. And I really like Ghost Ogre. It hits so many things, especially with Deception. Now it has a really good target against like Snake Eye, against Rescue Ace. I mean, I cited this out against Rescue Ace in my matchups today, but game ones, when I saw this, I just used it on Deception. It was like, it's exactly what I needed, and then I don't have to see it again. And just basically every matchup has good Ogre targets. Anyway, that is the main deck. Like I said, the main deck count is 46. And definitely could be trimmed up a little bit. I was playing 42 cards a week or so ago, and I just wanted to change it up. The list wasn't performing like I wanted it to. Anyways, on to the extra deck. We have Guard Dragon Pisty and Striker Dragon for our Link 1s. Realistically, this probably gets swapped for the Blue Eyes Link one when that comes out in a few months. Maybe even a month, I don't know. And most of the time, you summon this as your first play instead of Striker Dragon, because this will Dragon Lock you, and you want to keep Link plays open for this later. Maybe I shouldn't be revealing this, but that's usually the sign of if it's Bystial Control or if it's Dragon Link. So to pair with these, 2 Hieratic Seal. These are the only Dragon Links in the deck. And, well, this is the end board right here. I mean, of course, more things go on there, such as an IP into SP. And, yeah, but for the most part, Seal will do it on a turn 1 board, and the rest of the extra deck will be, useful later. So we have a Dark Charmer. Even though I don't have anything further to climb into, I feel like there are just too many good dark targets to like not play this. If I'm ever against Branded, this card basically wins the game on the spot if I don't get puppet locked. A lot of people put in mag against Bystials, so if you take their mag, it's like huge swing in tempo. Sometimes you can take Shifter with this in weird situations. I just don't think it's cut worthy, even though you don't have anything to climb into. That does it for the links here. Let me just put them off to the side. I've got Hieratic Dragon, King of a Tomb. The last time I made a deck profile, I said this wasn't worth playing. That was in Dragon Link, and I do not hold that opinion anymore. This card, I mean, I still said the same thing. If this resolves, you win. But I feel like there are a lot more times in this format where, especially because the Bystials are so good as hand traps in this format, that you can just force out so much just by starting with this if you Bystialed your opponent a few times. And it's the perfect extender in the opposite situation. You baited out all their stuff, you overlay for a few Bystials, and now you're on to combo number 2. Last XYZ, we have Hope Harbinger. This probably could be cut or swapped out for the Photon that's a monster negate. Maybe a Typhon or something. This is sort of one of the flex spots, but I like the theory of having this for Tempai boards. One thing that I didn't mention about Evaporation is that it Dragon Locks you, but it doesn't Fusion Lock you or anything. So sometimes you can overlay for this late into a combo, and especially with a card coming up, there's some level modulation as well. It actually came up in one of my matches today, but it was probably the wrong play, but I went for it just because it looked interesting. Anyway, the spell negate is it can be really valuable in a lot of matchups, like Tempai, for example, if they're playing board breakers. That's the main reason why I have it in here. And yeah, sometimes it can protect a seal with the redirection. So again, this is probably one of the more flex spots, but just trying to justify it a little bit. Anyway, a card that is not a flex spot, Chaos Angel. I mean, this just steals so many games. You just get into a position where you have a Safer and a Bystial lying over, and if your opponent doesn't realize what's happening, they can lose the game on the spot. Of course, the removal is great. I mean, I don't have to say much about this card, but there are just so many times where it randomly comes up and just sits around forever. Onto the fusion package, we have Borreload Furious. This is, at least 2 weeks ago, this was the primary target for Evaporation. Just any 2 Dark Dragons, you can use itself. You can just dump from hand. A lot of times you get good discards with like Saronir to set up your board, get a Lubellion engrave when maybe that was the only way to do it. This card's super good. Also, the graveyard effect. I've caught people off guard so many times. You pop something on the start of your turn, like maybe you make this off of an Albaz play. You start your main phase by popping, you banish from the grave, and it revives a Dark Link. And you know, you've committed essentially no cards from your hand. Sometimes this just throws people off. They don't know how to use their interruptions. And even if they do, it's just free bodies. Like they have to deal with it anyway, right? And we have another new target here. Chaos, the Star Source Dragon. This just came out in Rota along with the Metal Morph cards. And this card, as you may be able to see, just needs any light and dark dragon and any dragon monster. So there are a few applications for this. It makes Evaporation a lot more flexible, especially going second because of the effect we'll get into. But now you can discard lights as well. This needed darks. And the effect is that you can pop a number of cards your opponent controls, targeting them up to the light or dark dragons you used. So if you're making it with Evap, it's almost always pop 2. Just basically another Levianeer. Of course, this targets Levianeer, doesn't. It also has another effect. This is what I was talking about with the level modulation, where if this is banished, aka by this is effect, or maybe from your grave off of Bystial, you can change a level 4 dragon to a level 8. Again, it doesn't matter that many times, but there is one time where I made the Hope Harbinger with that effect, so it can come up. And this card is just, this came up so many times today. Going second, make Evap, pitch some cards, pop 2, you know, no one expects it, especially because it's brand new and this deck is sort of sleeper. The other good application is that, although this really never seems to happen, you could go into Albaz against Tempai and fuse off with one of their monsters and then pop one of their monsters as well. Somehow they always have Regeki before you get there, but you know, it could happen, right? All right, to round off the fusion package, this is the Albaz package. We have Lubellion, Albion, and Mirjade. Mirjade's sort of a no-brainer because you can just fuse Albaz and anything from the extra deck, right? I mean, it basically turns Seal into Super Poly, along with all these other targets. But usually, if you have the option, you'd rather go into something like an Albion, and then you can do either of these or a Mirjade. There's so many good lights in the format right now, like all the Fiendsmith stuff, some of the Whitewoods cards, and Centurion as well. They play lights and darks. So also, if you get nibbed on a Seal, you just laugh as you summon Albaz and fuse with their nib. And if it's not turn 1, you have lethal damage anyway through the nib. So that is kind of fun. I think that's really all I have to say about the extra deck. Maybe I should say this is almost always the correct evaporation target if you don't get any specific value off of this. This is probably the most cuttable of these fusions, but sometimes you need the extra target to make sure Mirjade is live. I should also say this graveyard effect isn't completely dead. You can actually set Regained and Beast. It comes up more times than you would imagine, right? Just getting the right amount of follow-up off of a seal play, and you know, you can start to steamroll out of control. That's really what this deck does. Once it gets going, it does not stop. All right, on to the side deck. This was sort of geared specifically toward what I was expecting at the case tournament. So this is not a side deck I would, you know, really recommend for the format, especially without me owning the Fuwas. But still, I think it's not bad. It definitely worked well today. So we're gonna start with 3 Perulia. You might think that actually Fuwa is better, but probably you're aware that really either one can be better depending on the situation. And a lot of the times this is solid. I mean, I don't draw it as much as I'd like, but every time I draw it, it's okay. I've got 2 Nib in here. Probably should find space for 3 Nib. I was just sort of experimenting, but like I tried to say in my hand trap section, I don't think these high impacts, something like Nib, is super relevant in this format, but when you need it for the matchup, you want to make sure you have it. The last case tournament I played at, besides the one today, I didn't have Nib anywhere in my deck, and I lost a salad, right? So I gotta put it right back in after that. To round off the monsters, 2 Pank. I was just expecting a lot of sort of stun. This card is just a really solid card, actually. That's a theme I like with this deck, is most cards are just super solid. You don't have super high bricks. You don't have cards that are like super like 3-card combo-y. Of course it can happen, but you're usually card quality is just high. And this actually, every time I saw it today, it went crazy. It won me the game, so I love that card. I need to get the new QCRs. I've got 2 Cosmic in here. This definitely could be a 3rd Cosmic, 3rd Nib. I just went with Pank as a meta call, but that seems much more sort of standard. Got Duster as well, so that sort of rounds off the back row lineup. These are the hand traps. I've got 1 Thrust as well. I think I said this when I was talking about the talents. Just a solid card. Definitely don't want to see multiples. And it helps with the numbers for this card as well. D-Barrier. This card just, I mean, Fusion is everywhere. Even in Dragon League, I'm playing 5 Fusions, right? So Fusion is just in every deck at this point. And if it's not a Fusion deck, it's Tempai. And this is one of the only cards that they don't have, you know, well, at least plays around their board breakers, and it plays around this. Maybe they can still pump out the damage. I don't know. They always manage to do it, right? And then the last card, Anti-Spell. Again, this card just ignorant card. If I a few versions ago, I was not playing the 1-for-1, and I was not playing the talents, so that would mean that the only main deck spells were Called By, 2 Regained, and Chaos Base. So for that reason alone, Anti-Spell is already good. But then, of course, I mean, some of the cards that just destroy this deck are, or most of the cards actually, are all spells. So it's just really good board protection. I don't even like to think of it as a floodgate. Of course, it is a really annoying floodgate, but I really like to think of it more as protection. Anyways, I think that's all I've got. Oh, I got one more here. Nib token. And yeah.
Cool. Any shouts?
Just shout out to the Papitos, my boys, specifically Javi, recording the profile right now, and you know, really keeping my love for this deck alive. Shout out to Joel for losing. Same with Juan. I cooked both of you bozos. Shout out to Brian, who moved away just to play DB all day. Yeah, I guess that's really it.